You see, I want to start off by saying this week's chapter of Bleach was much better than last week's chapter of Bleach. But nonetheless, let's get into the review right after that intro. Hello everybody and welcome. It's your boy Shin Megami X, aka your Captain X, here to give you another awesome Bleach chapter review. In fact, this is Bleach chapter 554, entitled Desperate Lights. Alright, I'm not going to give you a recap of the chapter because those of my subscribers generally tend to read the chapter before I actually do my review on it. But for those of you who haven't read the chapter, I'm going to link the chapter in the description below. So if you haven't read the chapter, stop watching this video now, check the description below, read the chapter, and then continue after you've read the chapter. Alright, so now let's get into this. I'm going to start off with, I can't really call them many negative points in this chapter, which is a very good thing. So I'm going to go straight into positives of what I think was good about the chapter. What I liked from the get-go is the fact that Basby was still watching Toshiro and Chengdu's fight, and literally stated that, you tell me to leave leave the enemy to me, but then you end up getting defeated by him. So I thought that was pretty ironic and cool. But then again, he couldn't really argue too much against it because it was Juha's wishes himself. Alright, moving on into the chapter now. What else I did like is that we never did get the name of this Sternritter, and a lot of people who are going to do the reviews are probably going to try to decide on what Sternritter she is, what's her name. But you know what? I read Bleach chapter 544, which is the chapter that she appears in, the Sternritter that blows things up in this chapter. That's what I'm talking about, the female Sternritter. Her letter was never revealed, her name was never revealed, but her 4 accomplices were revealed, which was Sternritter, G, T, Z, and I can't remember what the last one was called, but basically her letter was never revealed. But naturally, judging by the look of her powers, it looks like she gets angry and literally blows things up. So I'm literally gonna go with either calling her Sternritter E for explosion, naturally, because it just makes the most sense, because the Sternritter's letters generally have some kind of interlink with their powers. So that's my whole thoughts about that. So I think she's gonna be Sternritter E for explosion, although her letter has never actually been revealed. Because if you guys don't believe me, please feel free to check out Bleach chapter 544. What's the chapter called? It's called Bleach 543 was titled Letters. It's the one after that. So yeah, if you check that out, you'll actually understand that her letter was never revealed. It's the chapter where she splits that dude in half after inviting him into her room. Anyways, so moving on into chapters about another things I like. And she's got there blowing things up and saying, and then Sergeant Komamura appears and wearing basically armored out like a tank. He has a new helmet given to him by his granddad, because he says that she states that basically you look different. It's like, yeah, why are you wearing a helmet like the bucket? He said it was a gift. Okay, I got my own thoughts about that, but I'll get into that in a second. Sergeant Komamura looks badass. I like him like that, and he's got the shoulder pads, and now he's got gauntlets as well, or I think are they called greaves or gauntlets? Please correct me if I'm wrong, my subscribers. I believe they're called gauntlets. But he's wearing those, and he looks awesome. He looks like a tank, and he looks like he's ready to do some serious damage. Especially now that the Bankai has come back, and if you can see in one of the panels that when the Bankai was disappearing from the female Sternritter, it flew far away in a certain direction. So she knew that the captain that she encountered, quite bluntly, was not in the area at the time, but now clearly that he is. Also, what I did like about the chapter is that Shinji wasted no time. He appeared out of nowhere. It's like, you know what? She stated that to Sergeant Komamura, why didn't you wait for me to destroy, all this area? It would have been more heroic if you showed up after the destruction. Then Shinji interrupts and says, you know what? That may be true, but I'm not that patient for you to wait for me to wait for you to destroy the Sedative. And he's already activated the Shikai. For the name of it, I can't remember, but it's the one where it inverts everything, like senses left, right, up, down. Everything is inverted. He's even advanced it to be able to invert his speech so that you can't understand him. So it really, really throws you off. Personally, I don't think the whole idea of inverting his speech is a good idea, because it just makes the person aware that they're in an inverted world. Because if we're in a confrontation with somebody and somehow you swing left but somehow it's right and things are all messed up, but my speech and everything you can understand perfectly fine, wouldn't it be more effective if you could still talk normally, so then that way your mind isn't too confused, but then when your sense of direction is totally messed up, but by my speech being messed up and being inverted and back, because you automatically know that something is wrong. But you would never gather that straight away by just all directions being inverted. Nonetheless, one of the things I didn't like about the chapter is what the typical hero slash villain does is explain the ability of what they have or what's going on. Why are you telling them that? Because by you telling them that, it gives them the opportunity to be able to come up with a strategy to counter against it. Nonetheless, moving on. We all remember how in this chapter, Sergeant Komamura said that this bucket and stuff was given to him as a gift. And remember when he first encountered his great-great-grandfather in the cave? One of the first questions his great-great-grandfather asked him was, why are you not wearing a mask? And Sergeant Komamura said that basically he feels proud to basically represent who he is. But he said at first he used to wear the bucket, to hide his identity. Because his grandfather said, like, you should hide your identity because we're not like the others, we're not the same. So we hide our identity, and he said you used to hide your identity to fit in. So I'm wondering what the confrontation with his grandfather has and how that has impacted him, because before he never used to wear he used to wear the bucket, then he stopped wearing it because of confidence reasons, like, he felt like he could, and then now he's gone back to wearing it. So what is the significance behind that? It makes me wonder what has happened between him and his great-great-grandfather that has made him change his mind and have a sudden change of heart. So that's something to bear in mind. Please let me know what your thoughts about that are in the comment section below. Okay, now we're moving on to chapter some more. We skip to Uryu and Juha, so we finally see where Uryu has been for the longest time. I've made my speculations about where Uryu could be, literally thinking he would naturally go on to attack Mayuri simply because of the instances with his grandfather back in the day. Okay, but nonetheless he's beside Juha, and what I thought was interesting is that how Juha said that he expected that the Shinigami and all the captains would acquire their Bankais back, which makes perfect sense because he said that we stole the powers in the beginning anyway, so it's only naturally that they would do something to be able to get them back. But nonetheless, he said he's fine because he has measures for that. He expected this, so he then in turn activates all the Sternritter's holy forms, which I thought was interesting. That I knew that he was the divine emperor and basically the king of all quincies, but I didn't know that he had the ability to activate their holy forms more or less remotely. So I thought that was really interesting, and then I thought like this causes a big problem for most of the captains, especially in the likes of Toshiro and what's her name again, Soifon, because we see because you all know that Chengdu is going to break out of the ice. And when he breaks out of the ice in his final holy form, and we all know that Toshiro is wounded. Yes, he got his Bankai back, but we saw the wings and stuff were fading. So yes, he got his Bankai back, but it's like I said in my Google Hangout with Charles' Anime World and the Elite Ace that, okay, no, the Elite Ace said this and Charles' Anime World said this. Just because they have their Bankais back now doesn't mean that it's going to make a great deal of difference in battle, because they are still heavily damaged. Alright, and speaking of heavily damaged, how powerful is Soifon's Bankai realistically? Because every time we've seen it used, it's done very minimal damage to the opponent. Whereas literally, I thought it was like a massive nuke that should literally wipe out whatever it is. Because it seems like to me, her Shikai is actually more effective than her Bankai. Because her Bankai is supposed to be a one-hit kill, but is yet to one-hit kill anything. It was used against Baragon. Yes, we all know how he stopped it by using his Respa to basically detonate it early. But it's the case with BG9 now. We literally see that his helmet is blown off. Kind of like what you see in Naruto when Naruto Rasengan Obito in the face. So kind of very in a similar fashion that the mask was all shattered. Very similar fashion. So what I thought to myself was like, okay, this done very minimal to little to no damage to BG9. And then yet, that was your Bankai. We all know that Soifon hasn't really developed her Bankai simply for the fact that she doesn't like it, but it's like, he done that little damage, and then BG9 still has a holy form. I'm sorry, Soifon is finished. Unless somebody comes to save her, I don't care what nobody says, she is finished. Unless Yoruichi shows up, which is probably the only person I can see that is actually going to save her, she is done. She's actually done. I don't see no hope for her, because Omeda, unless he secretly has a Bankai, but even then, I still don't think he's going to be powerful enough to deal with BG9 in his holy form. No way. BG9 is a tank and he's taking some serious damage and he seems so unaffected by it. Maybe it's because he doesn't maybe have pain receptors or something, because he's like part android or something like that. Who knows? But nonetheless, he is a tank and he is a problem. And Soifon quite evidently doesn't stand a chance against him. So unless someone comes to save her, she is finished. And I'm calling it now. She will die in these next coming chapters unless somebody comes to save her. I'm calling it cold blood. Hold me to that. As for Toshiro now, quite evidently, unless somebody comes to save him now, he is finished, because we see that Daiguren Hyonimaru is fading, and that's obviously because it's temporary holified, and then now that the holification may have healed him to the extent that he's able to get up, but that doesn't mean he's able to maintain the Bankai, because like I said in the beginning of the series, Byakuya stated this himself. A Bankai will fade without its master's permission if the user is coming close to death, and we all know that Toshiro and Soifon are close to death. So yes, he may have been able to get up because of the temporary holification which partly heals you, but then he still used up so much energy in his fight against Basmi, and then getting slashed by Chengdu, which done a significant damage. So we can see that his Bankai is fading, so I don't think he's going to be able to maintain his Bankai. So the bottom line is Toshiro and Soifon need saving, otherwise they are done. Because we saw the power difference that a holy form does to a Star Knight. It was able to make Star Knight K, Star Knight J, which is Kurge for jail, and he was able to tangle with Ichigo in his new Tensei Zangetsu ultimate form. And I thought, like, whoa, if that can make Star Knight J do that, which is more or less right in the middle of the alphabet, be able to match somebody who has more power than several of the captains of the Gote 13. And basically be able to battle them on equal terms. And the only reason Kurge couldn't go on the attack is because Ichigo was so fast. So that just goes to show you that he's able to battle on, like, go toe to toe with Ichigo, being like more or less the middle to like end category Star Knight. So when you have Star Knights such as K, H, I, like Basby and all of that, all go in holy form, there's a problem for these captains that were quite evidently nowhere near as powerful as Ichigo is. There's a problem. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Now you're understanding the severity of the Sternritters and holy forms. Alright, now moving on into the chapter again. What I did like about, sorry guys, my camera died on me, so anyways, continue. What I did like the ending of this chapter where they literally get the call from Ichigo Kurosaki and the chapter ends. Alright, there's also one more thing I missed. We did see that what's the Star Knight's name? A Star Knight F, the one that does fear, Asnot. We saw that the Bankai left him and went into the sky, so we all know that's going back to Byakuya. And I'm wondering how Byakuya is going to have developed, because I remember that he said to Korinji asked him like, oh, you've been in the hot springs for the longest time I've ever seen. How do you feel? Do you feel dizzy? And then Byakuya quite coldly states that, well, not coldly, he states that there's no need to worry. I'm not strong enough to feel dizzy. Which obviously didn't make sense, but I said that in my previous chapter review. But he said that I'm gonna take this opportunity to become strong enough to actually be able to feel dizzy. So basically, he's gonna take the opportunity that he's in the royal palace to feel dizzy. And then we all know back then is when Korinji smiled, like basically giving him his smile of approval. All right. So we all know that Byakuya has been going through training. So it's Ichigo, Renji, and what's her name again? How can I forget her name? She's one of the main characters, Rukia. Yeah, we all know that they're training hard and becoming quite evidently a lot stronger. So I'm interested to see how far Byakuya has developed, because quite evidently Byakuya has needed a much needed power boost. Alright, so anyways, moving on from Byakuya, I did like that they had a phone call from Ichigo, so that means Ichigo is going to be coming soon. So Ichigo probably calling them to probably find out the status information, knowing that all the chaos is going on, probably going to rush down to go and protect everybody. So, that awesome Ichigo moment where he did against Aizen, where he appeared out of nowhere, and also what he did against Juha, where he threw Tensei Zangetsu in the ground. We're going to get a moment like that really soon, where Ichigo comes to save the day, and I can't wait for that moment to see Ichigo's new Zanpakuto toes in action. Also, I do want to see as I said before, I do want to see the development that Renji has gone through. Hopefully Rukia has developed a Bankai. That's something I would like to have seen. And I want to see Byakuya develop some more techniques for his Zenton Zakura. Although he has a lot of techniques, it'd be nice to see one of my favourite captains in Bleach, getting much needed power boost. Now, as I was saying about the matchups for the Star Knights and Sternritters, I personally still think the Sternritters have the upper hand, because if you look at in the lines of Jugram Hashwards was standing there, and now if Juha has activated all of the holy forms, that means Jugram Hashwards has now activated his holy form, so he's the strongest Star Knight to have a holy form, other than Juha himself. So I know he's going to go up against Shunsui, which is probably one of the strongest captains at the moment, minus Kenpachi. We don't know about Ukitake because we don't know the full extent of his powers, but he's one of the strongest, if not the strongest captains, henceforth why he's captain commander. Alright, but nonetheless, as much as I looks like Shunsui, if he comes on with that lazy, bogus rubbish, like that slow starting, oh, I can't bother to fight, I don't really want to fight you, I'm sorry, Jugram is going to kill him very quickly, very swiftly, no hesitation. Because as much as I like Shunsui, he's my my favorite character in Bleach, so this is not me not even being biased here. Jugram will finish him unless he goes Bankai and reveals it, because he has to now. Then boy, he has a problem on his hands, because I don't even think that barrier is going to be able to contain Jugram. The barrier that Nanao made to repel Quincy's, I don't even think that's going to be able to contain Jugram after he's going to his holy form, because we saw how powerful he was. Just in his regular base form, one simple swing broke Ichigo's Tensei-Zangetsu. And we all know how powerful Tensei-Zangetsu is, how quick, how strong it is, and he snapped it in one swing. Now he's going to have a great power boost. I personally think the scales are more tipped in Jugram's favour, but nonetheless, I pretty much covered everything. Yeah, I believe I covered everything in the chapter review, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed my chapter review. Let me know what you think. My overall chapter review for this chapter, because it was a much better chapter than the previous chapters, and I gave my last chapter review a 7 out of 10. I've got to give this one an 8.5 out of 10. Very close to 9. Simply because this chapter covered everything that I like. Everything that I could have hoped for. Like, you know, we had character development, we had story progression, we had, you know, we had some reassurance of how strong a threat these Quincy's are, because that was somehow getting lost as soon as the captains started getting their Bankais back. So anyways, guys, it's your boy Shin Megami X, aka Captain X. I hope you've enjoyed my review today. Please comment in the comment section below and let me know what you think about my chapter review. Let me know if I missed anything that you'd like me to talk about, or just let me know in general, like, what you think about my channel in general for those of my new subscribers. Anyways, guys, it's your boy Shin Megami X, aka Captain X. I'm signing out, and as always, people, take care, peace, have an awesome day. You're dismissed.